Health Ministry to examine vaccines produced by other countries. Another COVID-19 cluster detected. Good evening and welcome to News at 10. I'm Amin Carlos. The Health Ministry will be examining any COVID-19 vaccine produced by other countries before making any purchase. Well, Senior Minister Dato Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said this is to ensure the quality and effectiveness of the vaccine in treating the deadly pandemic.
Saya percaya Kementerian Kesihatan pastinya akan meneliti dulu perkara tersebut. Because banyak negara sekarang telah pun claim bahawa mereka telah menjumpai vaksin. Tetapi sejauh mana boleh digunakan, sejauh mana berjaya dan sebagainya, saya percaya Kementerian Kesihatan akan membuat kajian sebelum kita nak tempah mana-mana.
Recently, Russia claimed to be the first country to have successfully produced a COVID-19 vaccine and named it Sputnik V after the Soviet satellite. Phase 3 of the clinical tests had started yesterday and the production of the vaccine is expected to begin in September. To date, about 20 countries have booked to purchase the vaccine. On another note, Dato Sri Ismail Sabri said the government has decided that foreigners allowed to enter Malaysia will have to pay quarantine charges and COVID-19 detection test fees upon arrival at the country's entry points. The senior minister explained that this is because there are foreigners who have been allowed to enter the country and yet refusing to pay the cost after being sent to a hotel or public training institute or ILA to undergo quarantine.
Mereka ini akan dihantar ke hotel ataupun ILA, kebanyakan hotel. Ada di antara mereka sebelum ini yang bersetuju untuk membuat bayaran dan kita lepaskan mereka untuk ke hotel. Tetapi bila nak keluar hotel, mereka tidak mahu membayarnya. Ini banyak ada kes seperti ini berlaku. Oleh itu, keputusan mesyuarat hari ini, kita membuat keputusan bahawa sebelum mereka lepas daripada immigration, mereka mesti membuat bayaran untuk bayaran hotel ataupun ILA, kalau mereka memilih ILA. Kalau mereka enggan membayar, kita tidak akan benarkan mereka masuk melepasi immigration. Jadi mereka boleh berada di airport sampai bila-bila pun.
Dato Sri Ismail Sabri said that from 24th July until yesterday, a total of 10,173 individuals had returned to Malaysia via the country's entry points and all had been placed in one of 59 hotels and 5 ILAs in Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, Pulau Pinang, Johor, Sarawak, Kelantan, Perak, Perlis, Kedah and Labuan. And of the total, he said that 44 individuals were taken to hospital for treatment while 2,332 individuals were discharged and allowed to return home. Malaysia recorded 15 new cases of COVID-19 today, bringing the total number of cases to 9,129. Health Director General Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah today explained that of the 15 new cases, 4 were imported while 11 were local transmission cases.
Ingin dimaklumkan daripada 15 kes baru yang dilaporkan hari ini, 4 kes adalah kes import yang telah mendapat jangkitan di luar negara yang melibatkan semua warga negara Malaysia. 4 kes import tersebut adalah semua pelajar yang pulang daripada 3 pelajar pulang daripada negara Indonesia dan 1 pelajar pulang daripada Yaman.
Meanwhile, Dr. Nur Hisham said out of 11 local transmission cases, 10 were among Malaysians. He said the number of active cases in the country stands at 183, with 2 of them being treated in the intensive care unit. The number of COVID-19 related deaths remains at 125, with no new death reported today. Well, meanwhile, Dr. Nur Hisham said the Health Ministry has discovered another COVID-19 cluster in Tawar Kedah. The index case of the cluster is a local businessman who attended a memorial service for a recently deceased family member that was held on 31st July and 1st August, attended by 30 individuals.
Pada 8 Ogos 2020, Kiau pula mengalami sakit dada serta gejala demam dan telah segera mendapat rawatan di sebuah pusat perubatan. Saringan COVID-19 dijalankan pada 9 Ogos 2020 dan dikesan positif pada 11 Ogos 2020.
Dr. Nur Hisham said health authorities then carried out active case detection and screening of close contacts. He said as of today, 86 close contacts of the man have been identified, and of the total, 9 all family members of the index case tested positive for COVID-19. He also said 21 tested negative and another 56 are still waiting for the results. The Health DG added that the Health Ministry is investigating the cause of the spread and whether it is related to the Sivaganga cluster. The owner of Nasi Kandar Saleh in Napo, Kubang Pasu, linked to the Sivaganga cluster, has been sentenced to 5 months jail and fined 12,000 ringgit by the Magistrates Court in Alustar today. Magistrate Muhammad Hadi Hakimi Harun sentenced Nizam Muhammad Sabur Bacha, 57, after he pleaded guilty to 4 counts of failing to comply with the home quarantine order on July 14. Now, the special proceeding was conducted in Hospital Lama Alustar, where the accused is currently being treated after tested positive for COVID-19. Well, according to the charge sheets, the accused was found to be present at several locations on 14 July, including at 3 banks and a service center in Jitra. All 4 charges were made under Section 15, Subsection 1 of Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases Act 1988. That carries a maximum of 2 years prison term or fine or both. The accused pleaded guilty to all charges. Magistrate Muhammad Hadi Hakimi sentenced the accused to a 5-month prison term and 3,000 ringgit fine for each charges. Former Auditor General Tan Sri Amrin Bruang has told the Kuala Lumpur High Court today that the 1MDB February 2016 audit report that was prepared by the National Audit Department was final and not a draft. The main prosecution witness of the 1MDB audit tampering case said this during a cross-examination by Deputy Public Prosecutor Dato Sri Gopal Sri Ram. Well, Tan Sri Amrin also told the court that if it had not been for the 24th February 2016 meeting that took place with then Chief Secretary to the government, Tan Sri Ali Hamzah, the National Audit Department would have already presented the 1MDB February 2016 report to Parliament's Public Accounts Committee, or PAC, scheduled for the same date. Well, prior to the 24th February 2016 meeting, Dato Sri Najib Razak had called for a meeting on 22nd February 2016 with Tan Sri Amrin, Tan Sri Ali and former Principal Private Secretary to the Prime Minister, Tan Sri Shukri Saleh, to discuss the findings of the 1MDB final report. In the same proceeding, former 1MDB CEO Arul Kanda Kandasami's lawyer, Dato N. Sivanandan, had pointed out to Tan Sri Amrin that after the exit conference with 1MDB on 16 December 2015, the firm had asked for another exit conference. However, Tan Sri Amrin told the court that he did not entertain such a request as the audit department wanted to complete its report by the end of January 2016. The trial before High Court Judge Muhammad Zaini Mazlan resumes on 24th August. Preparations for the inquest proceedings to investigate the cause of death of Irish-French youth Nora and Karen began today with Corona Maimuna Aid visiting the Dusun Resort in Pantai near Seremban, the location where the victim stayed with her family last year. Well, Corona Maimuna arrived at the location at about 9:15 a.m. together with other interested parties in the case in which has been widely covered by the media. Well, they were accompanied by Inquest Coordinating Officer Muhammad Iskandar Ahmad and lawyers for the family and the resort, as well as Negeri Sembilan Deputy Police Chief SAC Cik Zakaria Othman. On 10th July, Coroner Maimuna set the inquest proceedings to be held for 2 weeks, beginning 24th August until 4th September at the Seremban Coroner's Court, with 64 witnesses to be called in to give their testimonies. She also set today as the date for the visit to the site at the holiday resort in Pantai, where Nora Ann's body was found after she was reported missing on 4th August 2019, one day after she and her family arrived in Malaysia for a 2-week holiday. Coroner Maimuna's visit drew media attention, with about 20 local and foreign reporters at the location since 8 a.m. Meanwhile, Cik Zakaria told reporters that Coroner Maimuna's 3-hour visit was to get a detailed and clearer picture of the incident in preparation for the inquest, which will be conducted next week. Nora Ann's body was found on 13 August last year near a stream in a ravine about 2.5 kilometers from the resort, following a large-scale search. Today is 1 year since the incident. Director of Bukit Aman's Internal Security and Public Order Department, Dato Sri Akril Sani Abdullah Sani, has been appointed Acting Deputy Inspector General of Police, or IGP, effective today. Dato Sri Akril Sani will be taking the post from Dato Mazlan Mansour, who will go on mandatory retirement tomorrow. Dato Sri Akril Sani has wide experience in policing and has held the post of Director of several departments in Bukit Aman, including the Commercial Crime Investigation Department, the Strategic Resources and Technology Department, or START, as well as the Crime Prevention and Community Safety Department. Meanwhile, Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Badur clarified that Dato Sri Akril Sani was appointed to the acting post while waiting for Istana Negara to issue the official letter appointing him as Deputy Inspector General of Police.
So we shall wait for the announcement, the decision by Yang Berhormat Prime Minister. This is giving that due recognition to the post of the Deputy Inspector General of Police. Inshallah.
Tan Sri Abdul Hamid explained that only the 2 top posts in the Royal Malaysia Police, PDRM, needed the agreement and consent of the Agong, namely that of IGP and Deputy IGP. Perodua expects 15% reduction in sales target for 2020. Well, the government has decided to lower the ceiling price for 3-ply surgical face masks to RM1 a piece at the retail level and 95 cents for wholesalers, effective this Saturday. Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Minister Dato Alexander Nantalinggi said the decision was made based on continued assessment of the supply status and face mask price by the ministry.
Kami telah buat semakan tu dan telah juga membuat keputusan. Jadi telah dimaklumkan juga kepada Kabinet. Jadi RM1.50 pada mulanya kita akan turun di peringkat ringgit kepada RM1.20. Maka hari ini saya umumkan kita tak sampai ke RM1.20. Kita terus turun ke RM1 satu unit, 3 ply, ya, yang 3 ply, 3 lapisan topeng muka tu. Sebab dia ada pelbagai, ada yang kurang dari 3 ply itu. Jadi kita dalam satu standard yang 3 ply yang kualiti seperti mana yang diisytiharkan oleh WHO lah. Jadi RM1 satu keping bermula daripada 15 hari bulan Ogos.
With this, the maximum retail price will be set at RM1 per unit or RM50 per box, while the maximum wholesale price is 95 cents per unit or RM47.50 per box. This order applies to 3-ply face masks, whether surgical or medical, that are worn either by ear loop, head loop or head tie-on. Meanwhile, Dato Alexander also warned retailers and individual sellers against attempting to circumvent the ceiling by masking their prices. The minister said under the Price Control and Anti-Profiteering Act 2011, retailers may be fined up to 500,000 ringgit for selling 3-ply surgical face masks above 1 ringgit once the price ceiling takes effect Saturday. He said individuals committing the offence could be compounded up to 50,000 ringgit per offence or imprisoned up to 3 years and given a maximum fine of 100,000 ringgit if convicted. The government is drafting a digital economy master plan as an initiative to expand all sectors, including the non-manufacturing sector in the country. Minister in the Prime Minister's Department, Dato Seri Mustafa Mohamad, said the plan is now in the final phase and expected to be announced within 2 months.
Jadi bermula tahun lepas dibuat keputusan untuk mengembangkan kali ini kepada bidang-bidang bukan pembuatan Jadi kita sudah pun hampir siap kajian berkaitan dengan revolusi industri 4.0 ini dan juga digital economy akan dicantumkan. Sekarang ini dah ada perancangan, tetapi dengan adanya plan ini sudah pasti sektor ini akan dapat berkembang dengan pesat lagi.
Dato Seri Mustafa said several ministries and departments have had their own digital plan and, as such, in need of a coordination under a new plan. He said this after the launch of the Generating the Digital Economy at Pasaraman.com program in the nation's capital today. Dato Seri Mustafa said with the plan, it is certain that other sectors will be developed more rapidly. The government will study the proposal to impose a vacancy tax on developers to address the number of unsold luxury condominium units in the Klang Valley. Deputy Federal Territories Minister Dato Sri Edmund Santara Kumar said the ministry also remains committed to work with all stakeholders to solve the issue.
Isu lambakan kondominium mewah tidak terjual adalah isu yang perlu ditangani secara holistik oleh semua pihak yang terlibat, seperti Kementerian Kewangan dan juga Bank Negara Malaysia. Antara faktor yang menyumbang kepada masalah ini ialah soal ketidakmampuan bakal pembeli untuk mendapatkan pinjaman serta ketidakpadanan dengan izin mismatch antara penawaran dan permintaan dalam pasaran. Di peringkat Kementerian Wilayah Persekutuan dan Dewan Bandaraya Kuala Lumpur khususnya, kita memandang serius isu perumahan yang tidak berjaya dijual dan sedang mengambil semua langkah perlu.
The government remains committed to ensure the success of the Bumiputra agenda through the Shared Prosperity Vision 2030 or SPV 2030 and the 12 Malaysia plans slated to be tabled early next year. The Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said in a bid to empower the socio-economic development of the Bumiputra, the government has formed the Bumiputra Prosperity Council or MKB.
Saya juga telah memutuskan supaya unit peneraju agenda Bumiputra yang ini teraju menjadi agensi penyelaras utama pembangunan sosioekonomi Bumiputra. Teraju akan menjadi penyelaras tunggal bagi pengkalan data Bumiputra merentas kementerian, agensi dan GLC.
Explaining further, Tan Sri Muhyiddin said Bumiputra will also be given a double leap through the inculcation of entrepreneurship culture at various levels to turn Bumiputra as an entrepreneurial race. The Premier said the entrepreneurship culture will continue to be nurtured in an integrated manner through the roles of various agencies such as Perbadanan Usahawan Nasional Berhad PUNB, Majlis Amanah Rakyat MARA and Tekun Nasional Tekun, as well as Bumiputra mandated agencies. Perusahaan Otomobil Kedua Sendirian Berhad, Perodua, is maintaining less than 15% reduction from its initial sales target of 240,000 units for 2020. President and Chief Executive Officer Dato Zainal Abidin Ahmad said the reduction was to be made and due to the 3-month March, April and May absence in sales, owing to the Movement Control Order, the MCO. However, he said Perodua have seen a recovery in demand for post-MCO driven by the sales tax exemption from the government. It is estimated that Perodua's sales target will be about 210,000 units for 2020.
The reduction of our sales compared to the original target, we try to maintain less than 15% reduction from our original target. So our plan is actually moving forward in terms of production. From August to December, on average, we're going to do about 25k per month, on average.
Speaking in Cyberjaya today, he said from Perodua's internal data, 3 of its main cars, Axia, Beza and Myvi, have seen strong uptake since. Perodua sold 23,203 vehicles in July, up 9.2% over the 21,250 vehicles recorded in June. Perodua said July was the best sales month so far for 2020, boosting its year-to-date or YTD volume to 97,373 units. The national car maker estimated that YTD market share stood at 42% and 40% in July, spearheaded by the Myvi, Axia and Beza models. Malaysia League to resume on 26 August, minus fans. Well, all Malaysia League or M-League matches will kick off as scheduled on 26 August, but without the presence of spectators. A senior minister for Security Cluster, Dato Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, said the decision was taken after taking into account the advice from the Ministry of Health, the MOH, and the organizer must ensure that all the stipulated guidelines are complied with.
Jadi keputusan untuk Liga Malaysia untuk kita membenarkan Liga Malaysia adalah kekal. Tidak ada sebarang perubahan. Cuma tarikh saja. Ini tarikh bukan kita yang tetapkan, tetapi ditetapkan oleh FM. FM menetapkan 26 Ogos dan ianya akan berjalan, akan dimulakan. Cuma kita membenarkan pertandingan tanpa penonton.
He said this in a press conference on the development of the Recovery Movement Control Order, RMCO, today. It was earlier reported that the Youth and Sports Minister would seek the advice of the MOH and National Security Council, MKN, with regard to holding M-League matches again following a rise in COVID-19 cases in the country of late. The 2020 M-League, which has been suspended since 16 March due to the COVID-19 pandemic, will resume on 26 August with both the Super League and the Premier League teams back in action. The Malaysia Cup competition, however, will begin on 17 October. And that's it from us this evening. In our top story, Health Ministry to examine vaccines produced by other countries. Join us for updates at noon at 12:30 tomorrow. I'm Mohammed Amin Carlos. Thanks for watching and a very good night to you.